So I hope everyone had a good time celebrating the holiday with their family and their friends. I hope you all had a good Christmas. I hope you all had a good New Year's. And I hope that 2026 is off to a good start for you folks. So I hope everything's going well for you all. Me personally, it's been off to a bit of a rocky start with me personally, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'm hanging in there, I'm doing okay, but I hope you folks had a good New Year's and a good time celebrating the holidays with your family and friends. So, with this out of the way, let's get on with the topic of today's video. So, live service games have either been received as a hit or miss with a lot of people within the gaming community. Usually, it has been received as negative as of recently because a lot of games have been shutting down in the coming months, if not the coming days or even years, even. And people just either get tired of the game and they move on to other games that are much better, or they just find different games that will just fill in that gap for them. It's like, you know what, these live service games are not that fun. They're just boring. I'm just going to go on to other games that are much better. So, we had a bit of a track record with live service games shutting down. I mean, we had games like X Defiant that only lasted like 6 months and it didn't even try to make a name for itself and really get out there, and it just basically shut down within half a year. And then we had games like Multiverses, which was supposed to be a mix of like all the cartoons and whatnot with Bugs Bunny and Shaggy from like Scooby Doo, and we got like Batman and the Iron Giant, and Multiverses shut down to go back to beta, and then they re-released it, and then they permanently shut the game down several months later. And then we have another live service game, Dauntless, that was supposed to be like another version or spin-off of the Monster Hunter series games, and Dauntless has finally shut down, and now we have another live service game that is shutting down, which I'm pretty sure this is a game a lot of you folks were familiar with if you saw the trailer back in the day. So there have been reports that Anthem now is going to be shutting down very soon. At least by the time of me recording this video, I'm pretty sure the game actually has 1 week left before the game officially shuts down, and then you can no longer play the game. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of us saw this coming more than a mile away. I'm pretty sure we saw this coming like years away. Like, this game wasn't going to last that long. This game only had like a few more days left, a couple more months left. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of surprised it lasted much longer than it should have. I thought the game would have died off like back in like 2020 or 2021 or whatever, but the game is going to be shutting down this year in 2026. So there is an article that does talk about the game shutting down. So I'm going to pull up the article on my phone. I'm going to read it to you folks. And if you folks want to check out the article for yourself, I will leave a link in the description down below so you can check it out for yourself. This article comes from GameSpew.com. I'm going to read it to you folks, and then we will discuss. Anthem was launched back in February 2019 to a middling reception. Set on an alien planet, it sees players taking on the range of human and non-human foes in an effort to avert an apocalypse. In our Anthem review, we remarked that Anthem feels like a title that needs more work. I wanted to like it, but damn, does it make it hard. Unfortunately, while Electronic Arts and BioWare did attempt to turn things around with various updates, they never quite succeeded in making it the smash they wanted it. It likely didn't help the game wasn't free to play and was sold at a full price title. Back in June of last year, EA announced that they were shutting Anthem servers down, pulling the plug this January 12th. The game itself is no longer available digitally, but in the UK, at least you can pick up a physical copy for a measly £1. if you don't already have it. It's possible that fans will put together an unofficial server emulator, as has been the case with Race 'em Up's The Crew, but after January 12th, you simply won't be able to play Anthem, and those who paid full price for it will end up with nothing. Wow, don't you all just love live service games? Don't you just love it when the servers get shut down and when you pay money for a live service game, these developers can just take away your games that you paid money for? Boy, I sure fucking hate it when companies take away my games that I paid money for and they don't include an offline server patch for people to play the game in single player. Now, this is the sucky part about live service games because the moment that these gaming companies announce that they're shutting a game down, they're gonna do it because they would rather save themselves the money and the hassle. They rather keep the servers shut down and try to save themselves the most money possible and move on to the next game or whatever. Now, there are some people out there that do still hang on to these kind of games, and they do wish for them to have like some kind of offline single player patch so they can play the game by themselves, but these companies don't even do that. They don't even care about game preservation because these companies would rather have people play the newer mediocre slop games that are coming out now rather than making an offline patch for the older games. Now, I said this example once before, and I'm gonna say it again. If my editor can find the clip, I'll have him post it up on the screen right now. But a good example, games like Evolve that came out in like 2015. I was one of these goofy goobers that got this game, and believe it or not, I still have access to this game. Even though the servers are shut down, you can no longer play the game online, you can no longer buy the game. What ended up happening was the developers made some kind of offline patch for this game so you can play in single player with bots and against bots, and you can still play Evolve. Now, I highly doubt that a lot of people still have this game at this point, and if you are, then you are one of the very rare few people that do have access to this game. But of course, I digress. Now, however, games like Anthem, even though it was very negatively received, even though it was hated on, even though a lot of people shit on the game because there was a lot of broken promises and now the developers are shutting the game down, there should still be some kind of rule or law in place that doesn't let the customer lose their purchase of the game. Just imagine if the car company came to your house one day, just as you were about to leave for work, and they basically approached you and told you, oh, hey, your time is up with that car, buddy. You only purchased a license to rent this car. You don't own this car. So we're going to be taking this car away from you now. So good luck trying to get to your job. That's 3 hours just past the highway, bucko. Thanks for giving us your money, stupid. Would you be okay with that if the car company just took away your car that you paid money for? Here's another example. Imagine if, let's just say, the Lego company, right, came into your house and you were just finishing up a Lego Millennium Falcon, right? And the Lego company broke into your house and told you, oh, hey, you don't own that Lego Millennium Falcon. You only purchased a license to rent those Legos. We're going to be taking those Legos away from you now, sir. And then they, take the entire set that you just build and they just carry it out of the house. Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with them stealing your property that you paid money for? So again, why is it okay for these video game companies to take away games that you paid money for? Games like Anthem. Again, a game that not a lot of people really liked in the first place. I personally never played this game. I never bothered with it. Even though I don't like the game, I still think people should have a right to own this game and they can play it whenever they want. Even in the clip I showed you earlier in the video about Evolved, even though that game is no longer available, I can still play that game whenever I want. It just baffles me just seeing another live service game get shut down because there is no support for previous titles. These companies clearly have the ability and clearly have the option to include an offline single player patch for their game, but they just choose not to because they would rather force you to buy their newer slop that nobody wants. I figured this was an interesting news topic to cover and talk about. I know there's a couple other gaming news topics out there that are on my radar, but I figured I'd get this one out of the way first. But man, live service games, they're just getting the short end of the stick. I think it's been made very clear at this point. Nobody wants live service games. And if they do, then include an offline single player patch so people can play it. So, with this being said, thank you everyone for watching and for listening. And until next time, I'm talking about Anthem shutting down pretty soon, and I will see you all later.